got a secret, can you keep it?
Oh.
If those 7 words just triggered a visceral, almost Pavlovian response in your brainstem, then you probably lived through the 2010s.
Oh, yeah.
You probably spent your Tuesday nights glued to ABC Family or Freeform or whatever the network decided to call itself that week, desperately trying to figure out who was wearing the black hoodie.
We are talking, of course, about Pretty Little Liars, and it is hard to overstate just how big this show was.
It was a monster.
It wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural juggernaut. It dominated teen television for nearly a decade. It launched careers, it set fashion trends, and it essentially taught an entire generation how to use Twitter to obsess over plot holes.
Oh, the plot holes. We are definitely going to get to those, because while PLL is legendary, it is also infamous. It's widely cited as having one of the most despised, nonsensical, and just frustrating finales in the history of television.
Yeah, it's right up there with the Game of Thrones and How I Met Your Mother and the Hall of Fame of how to anger your loyal fan base.
A very competitive category.
Yeah, a very competitive category, but PLL fights for the gold medal for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But look, the story doesn't end with the original show. This franchise is like a hydra. You cut off one head and 2 more baffling heads grow in its place.
Right.
We have spin-offs, we have reboots, we have slasher reinventions, and today we are doing a massive deep dive into all of it.
We have a stack of source material today that is honestly impressive. We're primarily basing this discussion on a really comprehensive, multi-part series of video essays by the YouTube analyst Friendly Space Ninja.
He really went in.
Oh, he chronicled the rise and the what he calls the inevitable downfall of this entire franchise with just incredible detail.
So we're covering the original series, that supernatural detour that was Ravenswood.
Oh, Ravenswood.
The HBO Max reboot, Original Sin, and its 2nd season summer school. And we're even going to look at the show Cruel Summer as like a comparative study.
So our mission statement today is we really want to analyze how 2 specific showrunners, Marlene King, who created, and then Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, who took over, how they mishandled the fundamental element.
Yeah, we're talking about the basics.
We're talking about mystery, character logic, and I think most importantly, audience trust.
Right. The big question we're trying to answer is this. How does a show with a perfect premise, I mean, literally perfect, devolve into nonsensical plot holes, evil British twins, and ghosts?
It is a tragedy in 3 acts. So let's start with part 1. The original sin, the Marlene King era.
Let's go back to 2010. The world was simpler. We used BlackBerries. Pretty Little Liars dropped with just a golden premise.
It really was golden. I mean, the hook is undeniable. You have 4 friends, Aria, Spencer, Hannah, and Emily. Their leader, the queen bee, Alison De Laurentiis, goes missing during a sleepover. A year later, they start getting these messages from someone named A, who knows their darkest secrets, secrets that only Alice...
And the genius of it was the social media angle. This was really one of the first shows to use text messages and, cyber stalking as the core mechanic of fear. A wasn't just leaving handwritten notes in lockers like some 90s villain. A was in your pocket. It felt modern. It felt inescapable.
It did. And at the time, the showrunner, Marlene King, she was viewed as mastermind. The source compares her reputation in those early seasons to like Kevin Feige with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's a huge comparison.
It is, but the fans believed she had a master plan. They thought she was playing 4D chess, that she was always 10 steps ahead of the audience.
Oh, we scrutinized everything. If a character wore a red coat in the background of a shot, we wrote a 10,000-word thesis on Tumblr about it.
Right.
If there was a specific song playing, we analyzed the lyric. But the source argues that this master plan, it was a complete illusion.
The Friendly Space Ninja analysis posits that the show wasn't actually designed to tell a coherent story. It was designed to stall. It was designed to waste time.
The stalling strategy. I love this term. Break down the math for us, because the numbers in the source are just staggering.
They are. The source estimates that out of the 160 episodes of the original, only about 22% of them actually move the plot forward.
22%.
Yeah, that's roughly 5 episodes per season that actually matter.
Wait, so if I watched a 20-episode season, which they had, 15 of those episodes were narrative dead end?
Essentially, yes. 78% of the show is just treading water. It's characters going in circles, investigating red herrings, or dealing with drama that has absolutely no impact on the central.
So how did they keep people watching during that 78% of filler?
Well, to keep people hooked, the writers used what the source calls the retraction method.
Okay, the retraction method.
Right, and this is a really crucial concept to understand why the show felt so frustrating over time. The writers needed drama to keep the ratings up, so they would introduce a massive, earth-shattering twist.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so for example, Ezra Fitz, Aria's boyfriend, suddenly finds out he has a secret child.
Huge.
Or Toby, Spencer's boyfriend, turns around in the woods and reveals he's actually part of the eight.
That one broke the internet.
It did. Or Mona Vanderwall is brutally murdered, and we see the body in the trunk of a car.
I remember the Mona death. We saw her pale, dead body.
Yeah.
It was definitive, like she is gone.
It was shocking. It raised the stake. But then the retraction method kicks in. A few episodes later, maybe the next season, they just hit reset.
So
Ezra finds out the kid isn't actually his just a DNA test mistake. Toby was only on the A-team to protect Spencer. He's actually a double agent and a good guy. Mona isn't dead. She just faked it and was kidnapped by the real A.
So they create the drama to get the ratings bump and the Twitter trending topics. But they're too afraid to live with the narrative consequences, so they just undo it.
Exactly that. It renders the drama completely pointless. If nothing ever sticks, why should we care? It trains the audience not to trust any of the cliffhangers.
And this stalling tactic, this leads to the most famous, or maybe infamous, flaw of the entire show, the broken timeline. The source calls it the never-ending November.
This is truly where logic goes to die. I mean, the source does this deep forensic analysis of the dates shown on cell phones, police reports, and calendars within the show itself. And if you map out the events starting from the beginning of season 3 through the middle of season 5, the timeline becomes just absurd.
Okay, lay it on me. Give us the details. What happens in this period?
Okay, buckle up. In this window of time, we have the reveal of the A-team, the huge lodge fire, Detective Wilden's murder, the subsequent murder trial, the girls going to Ravenswood, Allison returning from the dead, Ezra getting shot in New York City.
A lot is happening.
Arya killing Shayna, Mona being murdered, and then the big Christmas special.
That feels like 3 years of life. That is a lifetime of trauma.
In the show's chronology, it is less than 2 months.
No.
Specifically, it's the time leading up to Thanksgiving.
It's 2 months. That is impossible.
It is physically impossible, and the source highlights a specific consequence of this that's just hilarious regarding Toby Kavanaugh.
Okay.
In this specific window of, a few weeks, Toby decides he wants to join the police force.
Noble goal.
A noble goal. He applies, he goes to the police academy, he graduates, and he becomes a uniformed officer on patrol in the town of Rosewood.
In less than 2 months.
In what appears to be about a week or two, based on the day to night cycles in the show.
So he basically took a weekend seminar and they gave him a gun and a badge.
According to the logic of the show, yes. And it's not just him. Hannah spirals into alcoholism and then completely recovers in the span of about 3 days.
Right.
Characters catch literal murder charges and get cleared over a weekend. It logically falls apart the moment you apply even a tiny bit of critical...
It's dream logic.
Okay.
But let's talk about the characters, because as the plot unraveled, the characters themselves kind of de-evolved.
Let's start with the center of the universe, Allison de Laurentiis.
The queen.
In the flashbacks in those early seasons, Allison was incredible. The source describes her as a mythical, godlike...
I like that.
She was the Joker of Rose. She was 15 years old, but she had grown adults absolutely terrified of her. She was cruel, she was manipulative, fast.
She was a perfect mean girl because she was also so charming. You desperately wanted her to like you, even as she was systematically destroying your self-esteem.
Correct. But then the show made the colossal mistake of bringing her back to life.
A resurrection.
Bringing her back was the fatal mistake. Once she was a regular cast member, a living, breathing person, the writers just stripped her of all her power.
Also.
She became a victim, she became dependent on the other girls, she became boring. She went from being this terrifying mastermind to just being someone who stood in the background wearing questionable cardigans.
The source argues she should have been the final villain, right? That was the only logical endpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have made perfect sense. She should have been A. It would have tied everything together thematically. But the writers wanted a redemption arc that just didn't fit the character they'd built.
And then we have Arya Montgomery, the source. Really goes in on Arya.
Yeah, the source describes her as unlikable and lacking loyalty, which, I mean, it's fair. She cheats on almost every single partner she has throughout the entire... But the biggest criticism, and this is a really serious one, is reserved for her relationship with Ezra.
Ezra.
Yeah.
The internet loved them, or at least the internet thought they loved them at the time.
Looking back, and the source makes this very, very clear, it was predatory. Ezra was her English teacher. He was an adult man. She was 16.
And then it got even worse, because didn't it turn out he knew who she was before they randomly met?
Yes, that was the big season 4 reveal. He wasn't just some guy who met a girl in a bar. He was writing a true crime book about Allison de Laurentiis. He sought Arya out specifically to use her for information for his book.
That is horrifying. That changes the entire dynamic from forbidden romance to calculated manipulation.
It is grooming. I mean, it is textbook grooming.
Right.
But the show romanticizes it. The show ends with their wedding. It treats it as this epic love story, completely ignoring the deeply problematic power dynamic and the manipulation. The source argues this is a massive tonal dissonance that ages worse every single.
Yeah, that's tough to defend. Then there's Emily Fields.
The source describes Emily as, and this is a quote, pointless to the plot after season 3.
That's harsh.
It is, but the argument is that she didn't drive the mystery forward. She was reactive. She was always the one being surprised or being saved. The source argues the writers should have killed her off to raise the stakes.
Wow.
It would have proven that A was actually dangerous, because that's the other problem that developed. The girls were basically invincible. They were threatened constantly, but they always survived.
Except for Spencer. I mean, Spencer Hastings really carried this show on her back for years.
Oh, absolutely. Troian Bellisario, the actress, was the strongest performer by a mile, and the writers knew it. The source notes that in the later seasons, the show just pivoted. It became the Spencer show.
Right.
She was the one solving the clues. She was the one with the deep, dark family secrets. She was the one having the epic breakdowns.
Which brings us to the ultimate breakdown, the finale, the reveal of AD.
The narrative collapse.
We spent 7 years, guessed 7 years. Who is the ultimate A? Is it Arya? Is it Alice? Is it one of the boyfriends? Is it, I don't know, a parent?
And the answer was none of them. The answer was Alex Drake.
Spencer's evil British twin.
Who we had never met, who had never been mentioned, who had never even been seen in the background of a single shot.
And the accent. We have to talk about the accent.
Hello, sister. It was a caricature. It was like something out of Austin Powers, not a serious mystery drama that we'd invested 7 years.
So why? Why did they do this? What was the thinking?
The source identifies what it calls the outsmarting problem. Marlene King and the writers became obsessed with. They viewed the fan theories on Reddit and Tumblr as the enemy.
So if the fans guessed the ending correctly, the writers felt like they had lost.
Exactly. If the fans figured out the clues that the writers themselves had laid, the writers would panic and change the plan to something completely nonsensical, just surprise.
But that breaks the cardinal rule of mystery.
It breaks the number one rule. The answer must be hiding in plain. You should be able to rewatch the show and see the clues and go, oh my God, it was there all along. If the audience can't guess it, it's not a good mystery. It's just a lie.
It's disrespectful to the viewer. We invested 7 years, and you give us a character who was introduced in the last 45 minutes of the show.
It was the ultimate insult. But amazingly, it wasn't even the weirdest thing the franchise did.
Oh, no. We have to talk about the detour, part 2, the supernatural detour. Raven.
This is a fever dream. If you blinked in 2013, you might have missed it, but I promise you it happened.
So imagine this. You are watching Pretty Little Liars. It's a show about text messages, murder, and high school drama. It is grounded in reality. Mostly. Then, in season 4, Caleb Hanna's tech-savvy boyfriend gets on a bus to a town called Ravenswood.
And suddenly, we are in a different genre entirely.
Completely. The source describes this as tonal whiplash. It goes from who killed Allison to why is there a ghost in the mirror?
The premise is that Caleb finds a tombstone in this town with his own name and his own face on it from like 100 years ago.
Scoop.
In theory. But the execution, the source calls it accidental comedy. It tries so hard to be serious horror, but it just fails on every level.
Okay, let's talk about the car crash. The source mentions a specific editing choice that just sums up the chaos.
Yes. In the very first episode, a character named Miranda dies in a car crash. The editing of this scene is just frantic. The source counted 14 cuts in 9 seconds.
14 cuts in 9 seconds. It's like a Michael Bay action movie on speed. You can't even tell what's happening.
It's just visual noise. It's incomprehensible. But the wildest part is the ghost. So Miranda dies, but she doesn't leave the show. She just stays for the whole series as
she just hangs out.
She hangs out. She talks to Caleb, but nobody else can see her.
And this leads to the moment that absolutely breaks the canon of the entire Pretty Little Liars universe. Hannah comes to visit Caleb in Raven.
Right. Marin from Rosewood. She sits in a room with Caleb and Ghost Miranda.
And she can't see the ghost.
No. But she has a full conversation with the ghost. Caleb acts as the intermediary, translating what the ghost is saying. Or sometimes Hannah just feels her presence and responds. The source highlights the sheer absurdity of it. You have a main character from a grounded mystery show engaging in a seance with a ghost she can't hear.
It means that in the Pretty Little Liars universe, the supernatural is objectively real.
Yes. While Arya is worrying about her algebra test and A's latest text message, literal ghosts exist just one town over. Magic is real. It breaks the world building completely and utterly.
And visually, what did it look like?
The source says the show is visually gray, just boring, desaturated gray filter over every single shot to make it look spooky. It was boring, it was confusing, and it was mercifully canceled after only 10 episodes.
So most fans didn't even know it happened. Caleb just came back to Rosewood later, and everyone just pretended he didn't spend months fighting ancient demons.
Pretty much. He had a weird haircut and some vague trauma they mentioned once or twice, but they never really explained it to the main PLL audience. They just swept it right under the rug.
Okay, so the original show ends in flames with the evil twin. The spin-off bombs spectacular. You would think the franchise is finally, mercifully dead.
You would think. But in the streaming era, intellectual property king. Warner Brothers decided they needed a reboot for HBO Max.
Part 3. The reboot era. Enter Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa,
the creator of Riverdale.
That explains so much.
Marlene King is out. Roberto is in. And the source refers to this new era as the Robertos.
Because he connected all the universes, right?
Yes. He confirmed in interview through a few little Easter eggs that Pretty Little Liars, Riverdale, and his chilling adventures of Sabrina reboot all share a single universe.
Which, again, creates massive logic problems.
Massive. I mean, Sabrina has literal Satan, Riverdale has superpowers, comets, and time travel, and now Pretty Little Liars is in there too. The source even notes that the Riverdale finale technically destroyed and reset that entire universe, so does this new show even exist in a timeline?
Let's not think too hard about it, because Roberto certainly didn't. Let's talk about Season 1 of the reboot, titled Original Sin.
The tone shifts again. It's no longer a mystery. It's a full-on slasher.
Right. The villain, A, is basically Michael Myers. He's huge, he wears this terrifying stitched-up mask, and he physically murders people. It's not psychological warfare anymore, it's just gore.
But the source critiques the visuals heavily. It's ugly, it's dark, it's muddy, it's shot in a way that you can't see what's happening on screen half the time, and the editing is described as bizarre, just awkward.
But the core narrative problem is what the source calls the mom's problem.
Right. So the central mystery of Season 1 revolves around something that happened to the main character's mothers back in '99.
The death of Angela Waters.
Exact. Angela Waters committed suicide at a rave in 1999 because the moms, who were all friends back then, were mean.
So the main characters, Imogen, Tabby, Noah, Farron, and Mel, they're just dealing with their mom's high school drama.
Exactly. They are floating in a story that isn't really about their pain, and it creates this huge disconnect. Why should we care about the teen protagonists if they have no real in the origin of the myth? They're just passive.
And the source brings up another major critique, performative social justice.
This is a recurring theme in the critique of Roberto's work. The show tries very, very hard to be woke. It preaches to the audience constantly.
It literally stops the plot to give lectures on grooming, on the male gaze, on toxic masculinity.
Which, would be fine if the show wasn't so incredibly hypocritical about it.
The finale of Season 1, let's talk about the baby.
This is the peak of the hypocrisy. Imogen, the protagonist, is pregnant throughout the season as a result of an assault. In the end, she decides to give her baby up for adoption. And who adopts the baby?
Harriet and Ezra.
From the original show.
The couple that started when she was 16, and he was her English teacher. The couple that embodies the exact grooming dynamic the reboot spent 10 episodes condemning.
Exactly. The source calls this shoving hypocritical social justice down your throat. You can't lecture the audience about age gaps and power dynamics for 10 hours and then present the franchise's original groomers as the happy ending heroes.
Wildly tone deaf. It really feels like the writers didn't understand their own mess.
And that tone deafness, unfortunately, continues right into Season 2, which was titled Summer.
Did they fix anything?
Well, the source admits they fixed the lighting. It looks better. It has a nice retro summery aesthetic.
So now we can see the bad writing more clearly.
Precise. The writing remains, to quote the source directly, bottom of the barrel.
Okay, let's talk about the villain. Bloody Rose Waters.
A woman with her face wrapped in bloody bandage, limping around with a giant knife.
Who is she?
Well, spoiler alert. It was Mrs. Langsbury, Chip's mom.
Chip was the rapist from Season 1.
Yes. His mom wants revenge on the girls for exposing. The source argues this identity was incredibly obvious. It was the first person everyone guessed.
And why was it so obvious?
Because of the lack of planning all over. Roberto admitted in interviews that the writing team didn't know who the killer was until they were writing Episode 6.
Episode 6? There are only 8 episodes in the season.
Correct. They were just making it up as they went along. Just like Marlene King did, they wrote 5 full episodes of a mystery without knowing the answer to the mystery.
But the thing that really seemed to break the source's spirit was the character assassination of one of the main girls, Noah.
It's truly something. So, Noah has a boyfriend named Sean. And by all accounts, Sean is supportive, he is kind, he is loyal.
We love Sean. He's a golden retriever of boyfriends.
A total gem. Noah meets a girl named Jen in juvie. Noah starts cheating on Sean with Jen.
Okay, messy teen drama. I can accept that as a plot point.
It gets worse. Jen steals $20 from her job. Noah takes the blame for her. Jen eventually gets arrested for something else. Noah asks Sean, the boyfriend she is currently cheating on, for $2,000 for bail money.
And he gives it to her.
He empties his savings account. He gives her the money. Noah bails Jen out. And then Jen decides she needs to pay Sean back.
Okay.
By robbing Sean's house.
She robs the boyfriend to pay back the boyfriend.
She breaks into his house, steals his family's valuables, sells them at a pawn shop, and gives the cash to Sean.
That is insane logic. That is criminal logic.
And when Sean finds out about all of it, he is obviously angry. His house was robbed. His girlfriend is cheating on him.
A reasonable reaction, I would say.
And what is Noah's reaction to his anger? She takes a baseball bat and smashes Sean's car to pieces.
What?
She destroys his car. And the show, this is the critical part, the show frames Noah and Jen as the good guys in the area. It frames Sean as the villain for being angry that he was robbed and cheated on.
That is a twisted morale.
The source argues it is a complete moral failure of the writing. It expects the audience to support girl power, even when the girls are acting like literal sociopaths. It just assumes we will root for them because they're the protagonists, regardless of their acts.
Speaking of girl power, the source mentions the arm wrestle.
Yes, the source critiques Roberto's understanding of feminism. He seems to think feminism just means women physically beating men. We see the character Farran constantly beating men at arm wrestling, beating men at swimming, carrying heavy things to prove she's strong.
It's very superficial.
It is. It equates strength with just physical dominance. It lacks any kind of nuance. It's girl boss energy without any of the subs.
And we cannot move on without discussing the website.
Oh no, please don't make me.
The website they use to track the killer online.
Spooky Spaghetti.
Again, for the people in the back.
Spooky Spaghetti.
That is the actual dialogue in the show. I found a clue on Spooky Spaghetti.
It's meant to be their version of a creepypasta website, but the name, it just destroys any and all tension. You cannot have a terrifying serial killer on the loose and then have your main character say Spooky Spaghetti with a straight face.
It's that accidental comedy problem all over again.
It proves the show doesn't take itself seriously, so why in the world should we?
Now, the source material doesn't just tear things down. It actually offers a solution. It points to a show that, for a while, actually got it right.
Right.
Part 4, the comparative study. Cruel Summer.
Specifically Season 1 of Cruel Summer. The source presents this as the anti-PLL. It's what Pretty Little Liars could have been if it had a plan from the...
So tell us about the structure, because it's fascinating.
It uses this really cool non-linear storytelling device. It covers 3 different years simultaneous, 1993, 1994, and 1995.
So in one episode, we're seeing the same day, but across 3 different years.
Exactly. And we see the character transformation. We see the protagonist, Jeanette Turner, go from being this awkward, sweet nerd with braces in 93 to the popular Queen Bee dating the quarterback in 94. To the most despised person in America in 95.
That is a hell of a hook.
And the source notes that unlike PLL, every single episode matters. There is no filler. The mystery is tight and meticulously plotted.
And it handles the everyone is a suspect trope effectively.
It does. It plays with your perspective. We see Kate Wallace, the popular girl who gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
We see her trauma, but then we find out she wasn't just snatched off the street. She initially went to the villain's house willing.
Right, with Martin Harris.
The vice principal. And the show explores grooming in a much more nuanced and genuinely disturbing way than PLL ever did with Ezra. It shows the manipulation, the slow trap. It's uncomfortable to watch, but it's honest.
But even Cruel Summer stumbled at the finish line.
It did. The landing. The source argues the finale ultimately lacked content.
How so?
The 2 rivals, Kate and Mallory, have this big confrontation. We find out Mallory knew Kate was in the basement and didn't tell. That is a massive betrayal.
That's unforgivable.
It should. But in the finale, they just forgive each other almost instantly. They dance in the rain. It's a happy.
It's that fear of darkness again, isn't it?
The source argues the show was just afraid to be truly dark. It pulled its punches right at the end because it wanted a happy, upping ending.
And the final twist with Jeanette.
The final scene reveals that Jeanette did hear Kate calling for help from the base. She knew she was down, and she left her to rot, keep her popular.
That's a great twist. That's chilling.
In isolation, yes, it's a fantastic shock. But the source argues it actually undermined the season's central theme. The whole season was a commentary on how the media unfairly demonizes young women, how Jeanette was innocent but was persecuted by the court of public opinion.
Right.
By making her actually guilty in the last 30 seconds, kind of validates the media witch hunt.
It muddies the message for the sake of a last-minute shock.
Exactly. And then they made a season 2.
Which was completely unnecessary.
Totally. It was an anthology, a different story, different characters, but it just suffered from the milking it problem. It didn't need to exist.
Okay, so we have looked at the original giant, the failed spin-off, the messy reboot, and the flawed competitor. Let's pull it all together. Part 5, the deep dive synthesis. What are the common flaws that doom these shows?
I think we can identify 4 main pillars of failure based on the source.
Hit me.
Number 1, lack of planning.
The improvisation curse.
Marlene King didn't know who A was until the end. Roberto didn't know who Bloody Rose was until they were halfway through the season. If you don't know the ending, you cannot plant the seeds. You just can't. You end up with plot holes, broken timelines, and answers that feel completely
We never found out who was in the barrel in season 5 of PLL.
The barrel. We still lose sleep over the barrel. We will never know because they didn't know.
Okay, what's number 2?
Number 2, identity crisis. Ravenswood didn't know if it was Gossip Girl or The Conjuring. Original Sin didn't know if it was a gritty slasher or a Disney Channel sitcom. The tone just swings wildly. You have graphic gore one second and then a character says, spooky spaghetti the next.
Number 3.
Disrespect for the audience.
This is the one that really hurts.
It is. The Friendly Space Ninja critique emphasizes that these shows treat us like we are stupid. They assume we won't notice that Toby became a cop, and they assume we won't notice that the characters don't call the police despite surviving 4 murder attempts in a single day.
They prioritize the gotcha moment over logic.
Always. They would rather trick us with a nonsensical twist than satisfy us with a logical one.
And number 4.
The girl boss versus genuine.
This feels like a very modern problem.
It is. The reboot thinks strength means Noah smashing a car or Farron arm wrestling a boy.
It's aggressive, but it's shallow.
Contrast that with the originals, at least in the Spencer Hastings was a mess. She was neurotic, she had addiction issues, she made terrible mistakes, but she was smart. She was resilient, she was complex.
Or early Allison. She was evil, but she was brilliant.
Exact. The source argues that genuine female strength in characters comes from complexity and depth, not just from physical dominance or a complete lack of ability for their act.
So we have dissected the corpse of this franchise. We've looked at the autopsy report. What is the ultimate takeaway?
I think the franchise really represents a specific era of junk food TV.
Tastes good in the moment.
It's salty, it's addictive, it's easy to binge, but it collapses under its own weight because there is no structure. It's all sugar, no protein.
And when the sugar crash hits, you get the Pretty Little Liars finale.
You get rage. You get 7 years of wasted time.
I want to leave our listeners with a final provocative thought. The source touched on this idea of showrunners trying to outsmart the audience.
Right.
In the age of Reddit and Twitter and TikTok, fans are smarter than ever. They solve mysteries in real time. They crowdsource the clues within minutes of an episode airing.
They're a collective detective agent. It's impossible to beat them.
So if showrunners continue to prioritize tricking those fans over writing coherent, satisfying logic, are mystery shows as a genre destined to become extinct?
It's a dangerous path. If you break the contract with the audience, the contract that says if you pay attention, it will make sense, then why should the audience bother paying attention at all?
Or the cynical take. Will we keep watching just to see how bad the train wreck gets?
Hate watching is a powerful drug.
It really is. I watched every single episode of Riverdale, so I am absolutely part of the problem.
We all are.
On that note, thank you for diving deep with us into the madness of Rosewood, Ravenswood, and Millwood.
Stay safe out there and avoid any long-lost British twins.
And for the love of God, do not click on Spooky Spaghetti. See you next time.